Okay, the big question, of course, is what will Prime Minister Narendra Modi say? And what is expected is the Prime Minister will detail a post-May 17th action plan today at 8 p.m. And critical among in that plan, Rahul, is what he does for the major humanitarian crisis with several migrant labor returning to their home villages.
At this time, there are lakhs of people from the world over and all parts of the country making the long walk home. Whether they're on ships of the Indian Navy, whether it's on aircrafts of the Air India, whether it's by truck, by auto rickshaw, by cycles or walking, this is unprecedented in the annals of free India. So many people, Rajdeep, different circumstances, all with the same mission, wanting to get back home.
That's right, and that is one reason why we expect the Prime Minister to address the humanitarian crisis as much as the health emergency, as well as the economic emergency that confronts the country at the moment. Remember, the national lockdown was put in place on the 25th of March to contain the spread of coronavirus, and the latest phase is scheduled to end on 17th of May, that's on Sunday. So what lies ahead? Roadmap for the lockdown exit. Let's first listen into what the Prime Minister said in the last 2 months when he addressed the nation during the COVID crisis.
सुबह 7 बजे से रात 9 बजे तक सभी देशवासियों को जनता कर्फ्यू का पालन करना है। अभी के हालात को देखते हुए देश में ये लॉकडाउन 21 दिन का होगा, 3 सप्ताह का होगा। चारों तरफ जब हर व्यक्ति एक एक दिया जलाएगा, तब प्रकाश की उस महाशक्ति का एहसास होगा जिसमें एक ही मकसद से हम सब लड़ रहे हैं, ये उजागर होगा। भारत में लॉकडाउन को अब 3 मई तक और बढ़ाना पड़ेगा।
Our first guest joining us now, Karnataka's Deputy Chief Minister Ashwath Narayan. Also joining us is Mohandas Pai. I appreciate both of you joining us at this moment. We're trying to look at Mr. Ashwath Narayan, what the Prime Minister is likely to say today. You were there at that meeting along with Chief Minister Yediyurappa. What is the sense you got? Are states like Karnataka, which have done very well in terms of controlling COVID in your state, increasingly keen to open up? Can we expect a greater relaxation of the lockdown restrictions this time? Is that what you would like?
So basically, since now the challenge is there between the lives and livelihood, as all of us have been discussing, since even till now, no curative has been developed or the vaccine has been developed or invented. So in the backdrop of such a big challenge, how to balance between the virus threat and then a livelihood was a very challenging issue. So we can't still keep waiting, and the staggered relaxation has started from already 3 phases relaxation was given. So he was just trying to reach out to all the people. So we need to gear up and prepare ourselves to the COVID, pre and post COVID, the changes, what is happening in the way we have been living, and how we need to bring in the changes so that we can face and.
No, do you want to open up, sir? Let me be more direct. Do you want to open it? Do you want to see? Do you want to see a Bengaluru open up from the 17th of May? Do you want to see greater use of public transport, possibly more?
Yeah.
Do you want to see that or not?
Yes, our government of Karnataka. Yes, our government of Karnataka, other than the containment area, we want it to be opened up and all the economic activities to start other than the containment areas. And along with there is some of the conditions, some of the activities not been allowed even in green belt area, the green areas, or in all the areas, some of the activities will be prohibited. Other than that, we want to allow all the activities other than the containment area, Rajdeep sir.
Okay, that's significant because until now it was red zone, green zone, orange zone. Now you're saying that even within the red zone, the focus should be on containment zones.
When I spoke to the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister earlier this afternoon, Rajdeep, he said that his sense is that there will be greater autonomy accorded to Chief Ministers to decide which areas will be classified as green, red and orange. They're saying, let us decide, we're on the ground rather than the centre dictating that. Ashwath Narayan, thank you very much for joining us. We hope to come back to you once the Prime Minister has spoken. Also joining us on this broadcast, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, senior leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mohandas Pai joins us as well. The Prime Minister has spoken for an average of 23.5 minutes during the 4 addresses. The longest was the first one at 29 minutes, the second was 28 minutes, the shortest was 11 minutes, and then there was a 25-minute address. So, Mr. Rudy, what's the government's key priority? There are heartbreaking images of migrants on board trucks, walking, cycling in auto rickshaws coming home. What, according to you, will be the key thrust of what the Prime Minister tells us in about an hour and a half from now?
Well, it's very difficult for me to actually say what Prime Minister is going to say. But I'm sure whatever he's going to speak is in consonance to what his discussions have been with the chief ministers, what is the expectations of the nation, what is the feedback from media, channels, his own system, bureaucracy, political inputs. And there are the 2 challenges are there. One is that we have to fight back Corona, get out of it, and nudge back the economy to normalcy. The third fact, which I would like, I assume, which may not be correct, is giving more autonomy to the states to decide how to go about it. Because one thing the Prime Minister has done very successfully is that telling the nation the threat of the COVID, how to face it, how to have the precautions done. SOPs have been created, more or less the country is geared up, medically geared up. Because no one had planned this, no government had planned such a situation. So I think he has said that he will give a roadmap how to go ahead, but more autonomy as discussed by most of the chief ministers, because there are contradictions. But the only aspect which I would like to flag here, if there is a situation like the state of West Bengal, which records the highest rate of growth of deaths, which is about 9.3, and the national average is about 3.2 or so. And there is a state adjoining to West Bengal, which is Sikkim, which has a 0 death case and 0 diseases. Now, if you allow this to open up, and if the state of West Bengal does not contain it and allows traffic to move from West Bengal to Sikkim, or maybe other northeastern states which have a passage from West Bengal, it could be a dangerous situation. So the government of India definitely would like to suggest things there. But again, the last point before you can carry on with the discussion is, every state has a different requirement. The coastal state, the northeastern states, the Ladakh, the territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Gujarat, and the coastal states, and so forth and so on. So the same rule cannot be applied for all of them, and I think this has been realized. The awareness is that the process of fighting will have to be piecemeal. Right. It's small battles everywhere to win the war. Thank you.
You know, you're making interesting points there, Mr. Rudy. The question is, Mohandas Pai, that in the 3rd week of March, the focus was on ensuring that the spread of COVID was controlled. The health factor was preeminent. 7 weeks on, there's a sense that the economic factors and the humanitarian crisis that has been caused should perhaps take precedence. Do you agree with that? That over time we have to shift from not just saving lives, but importantly finding ways to save livelihoods?
Rajdeep, let us remember when this whole thing happened, there was alarm all around the world, millions of people will be infected, millions will die, all kind of alarmist positions that come. Nobody knew what was happening, and we had to tighten up and prevent it as a first measure, because we didn't want casualties and we have paid a heavy price. Now, over the last 7 weeks, we understood the mortality, we understood how it spreads, we have built up capacity in hospitals, our doctors and nurses know how to handle it, medicine has been built up, tests have been built up. So the great degree of knowledge and confidence and local capacity is there. Now is the time when we have to shift gear and learn to live with it, because it's not going to go away. For the rest of the year,
what would you like to hear the Prime Minister say, Mohandas Pai?
I would like the Prime Minister to say that there's going to be a graded opening up. Here are broad parameters. Let each state decide. And I would like the state to tell each city to decide with the mayor, each district magistrate to decide and have an overview, because now the decisions have to be taken at the local level. They can no longer be centralized because the knowledge is there. There'll be oversight by the central government for interstate issues and for any major issues, because they require help. And the state has to do the same for districts and for big cities.
But
so we have
Rajdeep,
to
we're
open up in
almost
a graded
seeing an
manner.
abdication of the desire on the part of state chief ministers to decide their own fate. While some asked for autonomy, many said, "Aap hi decide karo." Almost, saying, "No, Narendra
Rahul,
Modi show us the way."
Rahul,
Why is
it's a
that the
cat
case?
and mouse game at the moment. No one wants to be seen to be taking the risk of being the first to fully open up, and then God forbid if the number of cases go up, what's the impact? I think that's the problem. I think there are chief ministers who are very keen to open up. If you talk to them privately, they say open up. The moment they go public, they're much more cautious. I think Arvind Kejriwal was the one chief minister yesterday who went the furthest apparently at the meeting by saying there should only be restrictions in containment zones. Everything else should be free for economic activity. But as Rajiv Pratap Rudy said, at times you're going to need states to coordinate with each other, as has been the case with train services. So I just wonder, Mohandas Pai, are you telling effectively that Prime Minister Modi should say, look, we've done what we have to, now it's up to states and district level authorities to take over? Is that what you're saying? That effectively the Prime Minister has to now give in a sense, a roadmap for decentralization?
Yes, and because the local authorities have to take care, but the oversight from the center has to be there so they can step in and help people in the state if they don't have capacity. Rajdeep, this migrant crisis is a local issue. The chief ministers and the mayors of the state should have taken care of it. They should have taken care of people because the Prime Minister cannot do it. They should have provided food. They should have arranged for rations. They should have arranged for shelter. They have not done the job that is expected for them. They hardly knew how many migrants were there. So I think the time has come for them to build up the capacity and the state and center to work together with the local authorities taking the responsibility. And all of us in civil life and in the media have to support the local authorities. We should not become overly critical even if something goes out of control, because we can bring it, we should bring it back under control.
No, but there are basic issues, Rajiv Pratap Rudy. When you talk about food and rations, for example, there are 77 million tons of food grain in the FCI godowns. The government has not pushed for a universal public distribution scheme. You still have to have a ration card if you have to go and get your ration. Many of those, the urban poor in particular, seem to have been the ones who have suffered the most. Has the time come to address it at a state level, as Mohandas Pai suggests? Can the Prime Minister and the Government of India completely abdicate the responsibility to the lives of the migrant poor who live on the margins, who have lost their jobs, who are daily wage laborers?
Now you have put the trick there, and I know where you are heading to. So Rajdeep, my good friend for years,
I'm asking who.
I know what you want to.
No, I'm asking
now,
who takes responsibility. Mohandas Pai says state governments and local authorities take it.
Now you don't hear. Rajdeep,
Go ahead.
Rajdeep, please let me continue. I've got your question. I understand what you say.
Yes.
My point here is, I would never agree to the point that the Prime Minister would abdicate his role. He would never. Hand-holding will certainly continue, and it's not going to come. When you talk about these food stocks in the FCI godowns, these are the numbers. I come from the state of Bihar, and I know the 3-month rationing which has gone to the states and the districts and the PDS is extraordinarily been handled by the state government. The Prime Minister holds the stocks to give it to he has to have a national register to know exactly how much stock is required and how much has to be sent to the state. So on a television channel, we cannot decide what is the quantity to be kept and given as long there is no report of people dying of hunger. And the state governments have done an extraordinary job, whether the Congress or the BJP or any other government, to see that food stocks have reached them. The ration for 3 months have gone to the village. And I can tell you, to the best of my knowledge, the rural distress is very limited. When you come to this urban poor, yes. You see, I come from a state of Bihar, and this is one of the largest, the state which has the largest migrants, and I feel the pinch most because I'm a proud Bihari, and most of that time when we are discussing about, as Mohandas Pai said, I'm happy for that. We are not a commodity. Bihari is not a commodity that you can use him, and when he feels hungry or when he's homesick, you send him back because he say, my factory is not working, come back when I have the money or when I set it up. Now this is the time for Bihar, because many of us did not know how many people were traveling across. So these miseries have kept her. Have you heard any Gujarati going crazy about this situation, or a Maharashtrian, or maybe anyone from Karnataka? It is Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and some of these poorer states. So this is what the Prime Minister is going to address. I need to keep my men back. So I want to tell it, I want my Chief Minister to make schemes for next 5 years. Please, my manpower who are the assets to the nation, stay back. Now I want Bihar to take its policy decision, and Bihar Chief Minister is all focused to see that after this experiment how Biharis and UPites have been treated, and that is why whether it is Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, The way we have been treated.
Sir, with due regard, Mr. I don't want to get into a big debate, but Mr. Nitish Kumar was unwilling to take back the migrants initially. Let's be very clear. His first stand was that I don't want these migrant labor back in my state.
Can I? Please, give me 30 seconds and you can speak thereafter. Why did Nitish Kumar say that? Why did the Chief Minister of Bihar say that? Because Bihar had a very little number of cases then, and it was because everyone was talking it is infectious when people come out, and we did not have the means with all to have so many people coming from all over the country into the state, millions of them wanting to come there. Even today, there are more than 700 quarantine camps. Where there are people kept for 21 days, we have to get them, we have to pay for their food, we have to look after them, their medicines, and then send them back. This logistics, the state of Bihar. So he was scared that let's be practical. The whole country is coming back to Bihar and we have to manage them. That is why the trains were deferred. There was a time taken. What Nitish Kumar said, there be a national policy, how people have to come back, what are the precautions to be taken.
Right.
Because coming in contact was the first reason of COVID spreading, and we wanted to protect the state.
Okay.
So he's gone piecemeal, he's allowed now.
Rajdeep.
All the migrant laborers who have gone are being welcomed back, but there are precautions being taken. So please do not talk about the state chief minister who took a statesman-like situation, grew in that when he took that decision, and that decision was in the interest of the state, not against the laborers. And he sent 1,000 rupees to 18 lakh laborers in account who were outside. First go, that was the only first state which did it. So please, let's understand the population of 12 crores in Bihar, and I am a Bihari, I know how the state is being run. We have the infrastructure now. Bihar has electricity, Bihar has roads, Bihar has
You made the point, sir. So you are expecting
we will work
today.
hard to see that none
Can
of
we
these laborers
expect
go back.
you say the Prime Minister today will address the issue of migrants? Am I correct that he will address the issue? He is expected to speak on it, or you expect him to speak on
You
it?
see, this is a far thought. This cannot. Sir, Rajdeep, I please do not compare. I do not know. He's understood all the metrics. He knows what is happening to Bihar. He knows what is happening in other parts of the country. He's the best man to decide what is the best for the nation.
Okay.
We have faith in it. People have faith in it. All of you have faith in it. And we have to have a faith in the Prime Minister. And that's the done thing. So I do not know what he speaks, but whatever he speaks always makes a lot of sense, and we have a lot of faith in the Prime Minister.
Thank you
the
very much.
The system has a faith in the Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Rudy.
And he has the wherewithal internationally and nationally. So, sorry, I stop here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Rajdeep Pratap Rudy. Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kanwal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.